Today we're going to look at another Woomer art product. A few weeks ago, I reviewed their color pencils, and I was pleasantly surprised by how well they compared with some of my other favorite brands. So when they asked me if I'd like to try their Tiny Travel watercolor set, I was curious to see if it would perform just as well. We'll unbox the set, compare the colors side by side with Schmincke and Cotman against their student grade sets, and then we'll paint this vibrant red and yellow poppy so we can see how these paints perform in a real painting, not just on a swatch card. Sometimes inexpensive supplies can surprise you, and by the end of the video, we'll have a good idea of who this little set is best suited for. I love these tiny watercolor sets for travel, for plein air painting, when you're going to the park, or when you just want a little tiny convenient set of watercolors that's compact and easy to take along. So the only thing I do when things come in the mail from a company is I open the envelope, but I don't take anything out of the packaging. I just make sure it's not damaged. But this is a really compact little travel set. So my first impression is that it's going to tuck really easily into a sketch bag or backpack. So I'm just really interested in more than just the packaging. I want to know, of course, how they're going to react and behave once they're on paper. This comes with this really cute little brush, and so those are always fun, and I can't wait to see if it passes my snap test, and it does. It feels like a nice little snappy brush. I always check the tip. That's one of my tests for watercolor brushes, is that it snaps. It comes in a nice range of warm and cool colors, and quite enough to mix a variety of colors. They also give you a couple little pieces of watercolor paper, maybe to swatch on, which is great. And the colors themselves are really pretty, and they're little half pans. So we're getting 9 colors. You get yellow light, which is a cool yellow, like a lemon yellow, oriental orange, permanent red, which is a warmer red, quinacridone rose, lilac purple, cobalt blue, ultramarine blue, phthalo green, and Payne's gray. I was really excited to see that they added the Payne's gray, which is acting as your dark, which you can mix some really nice dark values with. And it's also a dark gray with a blue cast to it. So it's not jet black, but you can still mix all your dark colors with it and get lots of nice dark values, and also create shades with it because it is such a dark gray. So you can create a lot of different colors with it. It's just really versatile for mixing colors, and it won't create harsh darks. It will create lovely neutral dark tones. So here I wanted to really get an idea of what these colors look like with a bigger swatch, because they gave us a little tiny swatching thing for the palette itself, and they were just too tiny. I really wanted to get a look at these colors. So they gave us that just for the travel set. And now I want to make a nice big swatching set so you can really get a look at these colors. And they're very vibrant, they're very clear, and I really am happy with the vibrancy. Now I did activate them with water, so I sprayed the entire set, but I am adding additional water because that is how you activate watercolors. So don't be afraid to make a little puddle in each half pan when you're painting with your own paints. And this sketchbook I'm working in is 140-pound cold press watercolor paper. So this is actual watercolor paper that I am painting into. This is my regular swatch book that I do all my paint swatches in. The reason I really am excited about that Payne's gray is because it's not going to give us harsh darks. It's going to give us softer darks. Now I'm going to put the Woomer up against the Schmincke Akademie and the Cotman, which is the Winsor Newton student grade paints. And I'm going to do the primary colors, so yellow, red, and blue. And just go across and see how the vibrancy relates to each other and how intense the colors are, so we can get a comparison. Now, the Schmincke and the Cotman are very well-known brands. The Schmincke is about 3 times the price. Cotman is at least double. So we want to kind of just see how they hold up. Now, Woomer is not a very expensive brand, but so far, as far as the colored pencils went, they held up against brands that were far more expensive. So far, with the swatching, I'm already impressed. I'm actually really impressed by what they've shown me so far. So I can't wait to see what happens now. So you can't see what I'm doing, but I'm rinsing and then I'm wiping off on a paper towel just to make sure I have no trace of paint left from the other pans when I switch over. So in the cool red, because the warm reds are very similar, but in the cool reds, Woomer gave us a quinacridone magenta, but Schmincke, I think, may have given us more of an alizarin crimson, and I think the same with Cotman. So we have different cool reds. They're just slightly different. Now, Woomer and Cotman gave us cobalt blue, and Schmincke has given us Prussian blue. So those cool blues are slightly different. But you can see the vibrancy is really good. Cotman's cobalt blue is not the correct color. That is not a cobalt blue. It is more like a brilliant blue, and the color is wrong. Woomer is giving us a much more accurate color with the cobalt blue than the Cotman. And next, we're going to look at 3 ultramarine blues. All 3 have an ultramarine blue, and we're going to put those in next. The one thing I will say is that when we're just looking across at all the swatches, I'm very impressed at the clarity and just how nice the colors lay down and how transparent and beautiful and vibrant this Woomer palette is, because for an inexpensive palette of watercolors to be this vibrant and beautiful, it's very impressive to get that kind of quality for the price point that this is available at. So I'm already very impressed with it. I can't wait to see what it looks like in an actual painting, because that's really the test. You can swatch all day, but you really want to see what this looks like when you're painting. So I have a little sketch prepared, and I have my little travel palette that I just use for mixing paint, because I really like to mix my colors up and create specialty colors. And these are plenty of colors to mix everything I need, because there's pretty much a warm and cool of everything. And instead of the warm yellow, they've given us an orange. So we can create any colors we want with this. Since we have a dark, if we need browns, we can create those with our oranges and reds. We have everything we need to create every single color we possibly need. Now, I've made kind of a warm yellow color, and I'm going to do some of the colors that I need for the interior of the flowers for those. And then I'm going to just be painting. So today I've chosen poppies because it lets those warm reds and yellows really shine. And I'm starting with the bright yellow stamens because I want them to remain as luminous as possible. So I'm painting those yellow centers ahead because once that yellow is dry to the touch, I can paint the red petals right around them without those red colors blending with the yellow and running together. And that's one of the things about watercolor. Don't rush. Let each layer dry. And if it's not dry, either be patient and let it dry or blow it dry with a blow dryer. This will give you so much more control, and it's just one of the things we have to deal with when we're painting with watercolors. Another thing that people think about watercolor is that you have to get everything right in the first wash. I almost never do. I almost always paint in layers, and in the first go round, I'm establishing my lightest values. And I go back in and I add more transparent layers to deepen the shadows or add a darker value to certain places. Your watercolors can really come alive through layering. Rather than trying to achieve the darkest color immediately, I build value gradually with transparent washes. If you're new to watercolor, don't be afraid to paint over a dry layer. That's exactly how depth and richness can be created. I want to talk about brush and how I use it in this next portion of this clip. You'll notice I use just one round brush for the entire painting. The point lets me work around the tiny stamens. The belly of the brush creates the large petal shapes. The leaves are wonderfully organic, and I don't overthink them. I simply vary the pressure on the brush, and it naturally creates those flowing leaf shapes. One of the biggest lessons in watercolor is learning to let the brush do some of the heavy work. One of your biggest lessons in watercolor is learning how to let the brush do some of the work. A good quality round brush already knows how to make beautiful marks. We just have to learn how to use the point, the belly, which holds the liquid, and the lift off to create beautiful marks. I recently had a private student who was convinced she really couldn't paint anything too complex or intricate. But by the end of our class, she was painting really delicate, beautiful botanicals that even amazed her. And the secret wasn't a special brush or a complicated technique. It was just learning to trust herself and her brush and let it create those beautiful, organic marks and shapes. As I continue putting the background in, I'm still looking at my flowers, and you can notice how the petals look like they're turning and folding, and that's not because I used a darker red from the beginning. It's because I used transparent layers to add a little bit more depth here and there. At this point, I'm not thinking about color. I'm thinking about value, which is the difference between light and dark. So I'm not asking, what color is this? I'm asking, is this area lighter or darker than the one beside it? And I'm thinking in terms of value. And that's what takes a lot of mystery out of the depths, the foreground, the background in your painting, and a lot of the mystery out of how I'm going to make my next move on my painting. Right now, my background and my leaves are the same or a very similar value. So either the background needs to go darker or the leaves have to go darker, right? Because in watercolor, we can't make something lighter, right? So now I'm going to add a little bit more depth to the leaves. I'm going to make my leaves a little bit more intense, okay? So that will create a darker value or a darker color on my leaves, and it's going to make them more intense. I'm also using color here by using a yellowy green. I'm using a warmer color, right? So yellow green is warmer than blue. So that a warm color always comes forward in your picture. So it makes those leaves look like they're sitting on top of the cool color, the blue, which is going to recede or go back in the picture. So the background pushes back when I put those yellow-green leaves on top. And now I'm just looking and doing a few extra little touch-ups here on my flower to make some areas more intense or more accentuated. Here I'm just using water to make a very light wash of a pale orangey color for that top background. I sometimes use white gouache, but this time I'm being a purist and just using water and creating a transparent watercolor. Again, you want to make sure your writing, if you have any or anything like that, is completely dry before you paint around it. Now that I've completed an entire painting with these watercolors, I feel like I have a much better sense of them. Schmincke still has the richness and pigment load you'd expect from a premium watercolor. Cotman remains a dependable student-grade paint. But I have to say, this little Woomer set made a surprisingly respectable showing, especially considering its price and size. If you're looking for an inexpensive travel set, a beginner's watercolor kit, or something to keep in a sketch bag, I think it's certainly worth considering.